Hey everyone, this is the LEGO Technic Roadwork Crew set, and they include instructions for two different builds using the same parts. So I'll take you through both of those builds, but I'll start with the main one. Looking first at just the truck here, the scale of this thing is most intriguing to me because it's very close to minifig scale. Very close indeed. This typical build for LEGO City trucks nowadays is 6 studs wide. Well, this is 7 modulus wide, so very, very close. You can almost see it as being done to the same scale, just a little extra heavy duty, although the upper section of the cab here is a little bit large. But they even use minifig accessories. They include a shovel and a broom on the other side to give it a little bit of extra detail. The cab is nicely closed up. It's nicely finished, and certainly the stickers help quite a lot with the level of detail and believability, but the build is pretty genuine as well and pretty solid. This does have working steering. It's just the knob up on the top of the cab. Just turns those front wheels a bit, not a whole lot, but enough, and you don't have to move the knob very much to get to that full range of steering motion. At the back, the bed is actually a tipper bed. It is fully covered. There are no holes on the base of it. However, first of all, there's no fence at the back of it, and also at the front, there's a slot there, as you can see, that could allow some smaller material to get through if you are actually playing with this, or you pose it up with some small items like individual stud pieces. Tipping the bed uses just this little knob on the side, and once again, a small amount of movement gets you through the full range of motion of the action. But it works pretty well. This also has a trailer hitch on it, and that allows you to connect this small and very basic trailer with just a no friction Technic pin in there. It's not too easy to load and offload the excavator here. There's no ramp for it, and you can see that like I said, the build of the trailer itself is very simple. The excavator is supposed to represent something very small in size with not even a full cab, just a safety roll cage at the back. You build up the treads, of course, and there's nothing hooked up to those treads gearing wise, so no actual action. It uses one of these relatively new, short but thick worm gears. It's 1 module long, and that's actually used to operate the main boom to bring that up and down. And once again, not a lot of movement is required at the control input to get a lot of movement in the end. So that's just basically done through the lever over on this side here. You can see the arm right here that moves forward and back. Just has a medium-sized tan gear on the inside that's working with that. And then to operate the lower part of the arm, you just turn a knob over on the side over here. And you can kind of start to work those together. It's a little bit awkward for me to get both hands in at the same time, but the idea is, you bring this down, scoop forward, and then bring up. One thing that does not work here is the bucket, the angle of the bucket. If you actually wanted to pick up material, it's not really going to work. You can kind of bring material back up to your treads, but then once you start to lift this up, it's actually angling down and wants to offload. This over here just represents a control stick for an imaginary operator, figure to use. You could kind of, I guess, do something like this. Yeah, kind of. But again, there's no way to actually hold the figure in place, so it'll fall out pretty easily. This alternate build uses the vast majority of parts in the set, and they reference this as a mini gritter. It's the type of vehicle used in wintry situations to spread sand or some other type of gritty material onto the road out the back after plowing snow out of the way. So it helps to clear roads and then helps to keep them clear, keeping snow and especially ice from causing problems for motorists. So first thing that it encounters is snow. And we've got a big plow here, which can be angled to either side. And you can also retract the whole thing with this red knob over here. Just bring that up so it gives it some clearance underneath, just brings it up. The whole thing is articulated, and you can actually operate the articulated steering, which works quite well, has a good turning ratio, and it's pretty smooth. I'm just turning this up here. You know, you might think you could just turn the whole thing. Well, yeah, you can, but this actually feels good to me. With the worm gear, well, they've used that once again to move something. And here they're just tipping the entire bed to dump things out. And there's one additional function that's built into this. With the bed, that actually has a conveyor belt on it. So if you put some small material onto this, like 1x1 pieces or 1x2 lift arms, you know, small things, you can turn just this here and it would just slowly bring it out. These are supposed to represent your spreaders, so 2 of them, one on either side, rather than the typical single center thing that you would normally see. But yeah, just one additional thing. It dumps, it does pretty much everything I think that you could ask for, maybe a little bit more, and still holds on to the minifig accessory. So the shovel is over here, and then on the other side is where the broom goes. Has lights, you can adjust the angles of those a little bit if you want to. It's got the one over here, it's supposed to represent an exhaust stack, and yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. I actually find this alternate build, ironically, to be the best. I certainly think that the main build makes for something that'll sell better, that'll get more eyeballs interested in picking up the set, but this just seems like a better Technic build. It just has more things going on with it that are built more appropriately. Everything just works better to me compared to everything on the main build. I'm actually impressed with how much they've managed to squeeze into such a small space, you know, such a small build. This is nice. This is exactly the type of stuff that you expect from Technic. It's not difficult to build just following the instructions, but it's pretty advanced. What I like most about the main build is the look, just the appearance of this truck, not even how it works. You know, the fact that they've used almost strictly Technic pieces. There are some system pieces here on the corners, but not too many of them, but mostly Technic pieces to make something that looks so realistic at such a small scale impresses me. I'm also a huge fan of this new part for 2017. It's almost the opposite of something we had before. It just feels like it's going to be super, super useful for all sorts of things. Look at that. Unfortunately, what it's used for in this set, or what it helps to hold together, doesn't work well for me at all. The angle of that bucket is just not right. You can get it to horizontal there, but that's already all the way in. So if I bring the main boom down, you know, it's just barely past horizontal there, and it just doesn't allow you to scoop stuff up. You can't curl this in any further. You can curl it out, okay, you could turn it around and use it like a front loader. Then that actually works much, much better. So similar theme to something that I encountered with that city set earlier, so this actually would work just fine. Also, this mechanism back here, again, a little bit awkward to work with. Like this, it's okay, yeah, I can do that, but it's easier for me to just do this. See, I'm just using the play in the parts here just to do this, and this is for the sake of play. It's just a lot easier to do. I feel like there's not a lot that's actually gained by having this mechanism in here. Also with the truck, there's one small thing I wanted to point out here. The steering knuckles, or the parts used for them, result in very, very low clearance. And if this is played with on a rough surface, or especially on carpet that's not super, super low, I fear that these will get caught. And with their design, they will be very frustrating because they will actually grab onto and try to hold the loops of small fibers that are in carpet, and that just, you know, takes away a little bit of the fun of trying to move it around. So to me, mostly a very nice looking main build, but that secondary build just really takes the cake, and I think it should have been, or it should be looked at as the primary build, just in my opinion. It's the best by far. It's the best Technic experience. It's the best finished product as a Technic thing, and I like it. I like it very much, and this is a really good parts pack at the very least. Everything that you officially build with this has something interesting about it. You know, there are just some quirks, but overall I feel like I got a really good value with this set. So that's it for my thoughts, but please share in a comment what you think about the main build and what you think about the secondary build and which you prefer. Look forward to your feedback, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.